We have seen the stock market go up substantially over the last 2 months, and it's enjoying the S&P and the NASDAQ are enjoying really good years for all of 2023 year to date. I'm sitting on some gains, and you may also be considering selling out of some of your positions. How do you determine when to sell a stock? At what point? And that's what the topic is of this video. When to get out of a position completely, or when to trim the number of shares you own and really bank some profits. In my book, I'm in stock investing to make money, to make money over the long haul and appreciation, to get income in the form of dividends, and when I sell stock at a gain, that in itself is income. I'd like to take you through some examples of what I've done in the last 30 days and show you which stocks I am selling completely and which shares I've also sold just a partial amount of the shares that I own. So year to date, the S&P is up almost 18%. Just a great first 7 months out of the year. The NASDAQ is up 35.7%. Excellent, excellent, excellent. My investments are up 30.6%. That's a majority are stocks, and I do have some bonds mixed into that number. And my dividend that I receive on those investments, on average on my invested money, is 3.8%. So I'm yielding income out of my portfolio and really good appreciation this year. Now, the topic of today is, when do you sell some of your winners? At what point? Let me get into that. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Very good advice from the legendary investor, Warren Buffett. And I believe that right now we're in a period of greed. We've seen the stock market really go up. We've seen AI really push up stock values, even though there's really no business case currently. And we don't see a business case in the next 2 to 4 years. So that is causing me to be fearful of certain stocks, and which leads me to making this video and taking action on some of my stocks. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. If you stay in a stock too long, there is a good chance that you're going to get slaughtered. So in my book, I want to make money. That's the principal reason of investing. I don't invest to have fun. There's plenty of things that I can do for fun. My intent is to make money for my family, and I want to bank some of my profits when I believe it's the right time to bank those profits. So in the last 30 days, I've sold shares in all these companies. In some cases, I sold my entire position in those stocks. And in some cases, I only sold a portion of those shares in that particular stock. So a lot of these stocks are in tech: Adobe, Amazon, Broadcom, CrowdStrike, and even the ones that I'm keeping, a lot of them are in tech. There is one airline in here that I'm doing really well with, which is United. I'd like to show you a few examples and kind of go through my process of determining when I'm going to sell stock. I analyze every stock that I own, and I take it through a process. And one of the steps in the process is to determine what I believe is the intrinsic value of a company. We're looking at Adobe, and I have a video on Adobe. If you look at my channel, you could see the full-length video on Adobe. But I bought this stock when it was probably 60% below the current price. And I believe that the intrinsic value was much higher. And I went through it. But more recently, the intrinsic value was beginning to match the stock price. One of the reasons the stock went up so fast is the whole AI craze. Adobe was labeled an AI company, and voila, it went up. Year to date, it's gone up 52%. So since it met my target valuation and I had a big gain in hand, I sold all my shares. And Adobe may go up a little bit more. I don't believe it's going to go up much more. I think there's a greater risk that Adobe is going to come down. It's going to come down because I believe that AI is the future, but I think we're, 3, 5, 7 years away from a true business model being defined and it being determined how these companies are going to make money with AI. So I sold my entire position in Adobe and, made a good profit in the end. Another company where I sold all my shares is Broadcom. And I really like Broadcom as a company. I think they're great. And I've owned Broadcom for some time. They got caught up with the whole NVIDIA craze. I love NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is great. Uh, but holy smokes, how did a semiconductor company triple its value in short time? How did Broadcom go up 60% year to date? And especially in the June timeframe when the whole AI craze was full blown, it just jumped up in value. So I took a huge gain on Broadcom. And again, my homework told me that I believed, even before the whole AI craze, that the intrinsic value of Broadcom was at a certain level. And once that stock price got to that level, I sold my entire position. And I just sold it on the 12th of July. There's companies that I only sold part of my shares. Coinbase is one of them. Coinbase had a huge pop this week. It went up 24% in one day. And it was because XRP, there was a judgment by a US court that said that cryptocurrencies are not going to be treated as an investment. Instead, they're going to be treated more like a commodity or a currency, which was a big win for the cryptocurrency industry. And Coinbase popped 24%. It got near the intrinsic value that I believe Coinbase is worth. And I sold about a third of my position. I took a huge gain on Coinbase. I think I'm playing with the house's money now. I think my cost base is about 10% on the remaining shares. So from this point on, if Coinbase goes up, wonderful. It's just about all profit. I sold part of my shares on Meta, and that one was probably one of the harder triggers to pull. I love Meta. I think they're doing a lot of things right. It seems like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, they couldn't do anything right. And now it seems like they're doing everything right. So go Meta. Again, I have a valuation on Meta. And once we're reaching that valuation, they've had a terrific run in 2023, up 147%. This is my biggest position in my portfolio. It's the biggest one. And I sold really about 6% of those shares. It still is the biggest position in my portfolio, even after I sold those shares. And again, I'm just pocketing profits. I want to make sure that 2023 is going to be a very good year. I'm going to beat the S&P and I'm going to make money. Now, I see that there's some investing philosophies where you should keep a company forever. And, that if people can do that and make lots of money, more power to them. In my book, I've owned real estate and made money. I've owned stocks and made money. And when I have a big gain to take, I take it and I pocket that profit. And I want to, just talk about, should I find myself wanting to buy Meta? Will there be opportunities in the future? Well, let's study the past to predict the future. If I look back probably about 6-7 years, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good entry points into Meta. And more recently in 2022, you could have gotten Meta at $80 a share. You would have more than tripled your money in Meta, almost quadruple your money in Meta. So there's been entry points in Meta where I could have re-entered the position. And I usually am a buyer when a stock dips that I believe has a lot of value. I buy shares. So I believe that there's going to be plenty of opportunities for me to buy Meta shares. I'm just taking a profit right now when the price is so high. So that's my video on how I approach an exit strategy on a particular stock, either to sell all my shares or just part of my shares. And my intent with my videos is just to share my experience. I'm an individual investor. I really put a lot of time into analyzing the companies that I own. And I like sharing my experience on YouTube because I benefit greatly from other investors also doing the same on YouTube. Please keep in mind, this is just for entertainment purposes only. I'm not recommending you sell any of your stocks, any of the stocks that I talked about. I'm just sharing my experience in owning these shares and what I'm doing with my portfolio. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me wish you good luck in investing in 2023.